Welcome to the Prog Lock podcast this week. We're gonna do something slightly different because we don't want to do the same things over and over again. So this time, as I figured, we've mentioned Dream Theater. I know we've only done three others.
3 episodes, yeah.
3 episodes, two reviews. I feel like we've mentioned Dream Theater in every single one, and I feel like that will be the same thing going forwards. And we just wanted to make it clear that, for me anyway, they're my favourite band of all time, and that's why. And I know when I get into a band, I need to know everything about them. And I've got so many of their bootlegs, their DVDs. I watch loads of YouTube videos on them. Just everything behind the scenes, people reacting to them. I don't know. I just get when I'm into something, I get really into it, and so I know. Not everything, obviously. I've got their Lifting Shadows, the book as well, that they didn't create, but it's authorized by them, and it's had interviews and stuff. So I know quite a lot about them. So I figured, why not do a review of their discography and put them in order. They've done 15 full albums, one proper EP release. I figured, although it might have been your idea, actually saying that.
First off, welcome back to the Prog Lock podcast. Ignore the last minute. Well, it was good. It was good context. Today we're going to be ranking our Dream Theater album. Today we're going to be ranking all of the Dream Theater albums in order. We're going to be running through our list, see if we both agree on what the best one and what the worst one is.
We're ranking them in order.
My name is Tom. That's
Jack.
Yeah, brilliant. And then now you can go back and listen to the first minute of the podcast.
Okay. Well, the idea was to build up to it. I started with welcome to Prog Lock.
I don't remember.
This week,
I just said
we're going to do something slightly different.
He hasn't said the name of the podcast.
You're going to listen back to this and be you're going to have egg on your face. Sorry, I was eating an omelette.
What's that from?
It's another Ricky Gervais quote.
Speaking of the Ricky Gervais XFM show, we've made reference to it in every single podcast we've done so far, because of course we have. Today we're going to be stealing the ProgBusters. So last episode we did the lyric game, and I was looking at the lyric game again today, trying to come up with like some more questions. And I thought, you know what, let's just do like a ProgBusters kind of style thing, ProgBusters, where we'll be giving a cryptic clue, and Jack has to guess what the band is. Of course, you can play along at home. You can see if you can get it before Jack does. I've come up with some what I think are really, really good ones. Before we move into the main discussion of this week,
can I also say that Carl Pilkington's ProgBusters is a direct rip-off of Blockbusters.
Well, yeah, but it's not Blockbuster. Yeah, but I'm not ripping off Blockbusters. I'm ripping off ProgBusters. So there you go.
So you're ripping off a rip-off.
Yeah, exactly. So news this week.
Isn't that what every band does when they create an album?
No. I'm the first person to ever use the minor pentatonic scale on guitar. So, there is some news this week, as you may be aware. Roger Waters released Dark Side of the Moon Redux, which is his recreation of the original album, because he says it was his album and the original version was bad. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on that, Jack. So obviously Dark Side of the Moon is a classic album. I listened to it for the first time yesterday.
For God's sake. There's me going, I don't know how much I can say about this. I've tried listening to Pink Floyd, and I struggle with it a little bit.
Is that because of the mix though?
I try and put that, because I know going into it that it's the mixes aren't going to be that modern, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily the mix. It's more that it just doesn't offer me enough. We said before that I like a bit of energy, and a lot of notes and stuff like that, and it doesn't really offer that for me. It's all very slow. Do you find that
with most 70s prog though? It's not quite refined in the same way.
Well, we've had this discussion in the introduction about that I would just listen to Neil Morse and go, that's my genesis.
You can upset so many people.
But I'm not trying to upset anyone.
How do you feel about let's say, what if Mike Portnoy redid Metropolis Part 2 and said this is the definitive version of it? Forget what we did in Dream Theater. This is the version that should have come out. How would you feel about that?
But that was his version.
Yeah, but imagine he spent the last 20, 30 years slagging off Dream Theater, which is only partially true.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I think it's wrong. And even when you were saying about the Roger Waters thing, I was thinking, it's not as far to say that it's offensive, but I feel like it's quite disrespectful. And I think this is the politics side of stuff. And not many people... I love listening to, like I say, going into the back catalogue and finding out behind the scenes stuff and more personally about the individual members. But I just think the main reason they're there is for the music. And if you're going to bring politics into that, it's like... it kind of cheapens it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyway, I agree with you. I didn't want to spend too long on the Roger Waters thing. I just thought it worth mentioning since that was a big deal this week, and there's a lot of discussion going on about it. Obviously, we're not Pink Floyd fans necessarily, so
we're not Pink Floyd fans.
No, but we're not
just indifferent to them because we've never given them time.
No, and I feel like to listen to the Roger Waters thing and to really come up with a proper conclusion on it, you need to understand the context of it and the politics of it. And
the bad thing about it, and honestly, I feel like if I was to listen to it's been remade.
He's redone everything without any guitar. Basically, he hates David Gilmour, the guitarist.
Does he hate his playing, or does he hate his playing
he
so
thinks
much?
It's rubbish. He hates it. He hates his playing. He thinks he's rubbish. He doesn't get on with him. So he's redone everything.
Is that satire?
No, this is a quote. And they're always having a go at each other. David Gilmour's wife called him like an anti-Semite and all sorts of things, or racist and whatever. So he's just literally redone. Yeah, he's redone the thing without the guitar solo, and just remade the whole album in a much darker tone.
Okay.
With the new musicians.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to Dark Side of the Moon complete. I say the original. It was the 50th anniversary remaster, so not the original. But I listened to that, and it was
the same
really
album,
good.
though.
Yeah,
It's just
sure.
different.
It was really good.
Remaster.
And then there's a whole other discussion we had about that, to be fair. But then I listened to the Roger Waters one straight after, and it just completely fell flat. It was terrible. I thought the Roger Waters version was terrible. All the stuff that I liked about that, listening through Dark Side of the Moon, and like I actively listened to it. It wasn't just on in the background. Both albums, I sat down with intent of I'm just going to listen to the music, and that's what I did for 2 hours. It was a busy day at work, and yeah, that's what happened.
Hint the sarcasm in his voice. It was a busy day at work.
Well, I don't want to say that actually, because I had a lot on yesterday, to be fair, and I got most of it done. So I mean.
So if anyone of Tom's employees
No, let's
you did everything that you asked of him.
I don't think you're going to make it 8 minutes into a progressive rock podcast. So, guys, if you are listening to this, it was a busy day at work. I did plenty of stuff. I just have to, when you're programming for a living, you have to take some time out. You have to step back from your work and just think things through, and it was a good opportunity to do that. So
stop it.
Well, I have to save it now, don't I?
No, you don't.
What if someone cuts this out?
I'll delete the whole thing.
Finds me on LinkedIn. No, right. Anyway, should we move on to the main part of this
no, but the Roger Waters thing, is it the version of it musically you didn't like? Is
everything
is the mix better?
No,
is it a more modern mix?
Not compared to the 50th anniversary remaster, which was remixed from the original tapes. So it's worse in every regard. The
remixed or
mix
remastered?
No, everything.
No, the 50th anniversary remaster.
So it's called a remaster, but I'm pretty sure it's been remixed.
Okay.
So no, the Roger Waters thing, it's the intent of it, it's the idea behind it.
It's petty.
It's so petty, and it's
from the
pointless,
outside, not knowing
and it doesn't
much about
make it
them,
better. It just makes it worse. I don't know what the point was. So, yeah.
Right.
Basically.
Well,
let's move on to the main thing. We still have, of course, ProgBusters coming up. That'll be the last section of the podcast. So make sure you stay.
I think we got them.
We got them. Second time I made that joke on this podcast. So
not on this episode though.
No, that's true. I didn't need to draw attention to it, did I?
So
we're gonna go from 15 upwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say there's 15 full-length Dream Theater studio albums, which is amazing looking at it. But at the same time, I look at it and go, "There's not enough. There needs to be another one."
Are we including A Change of Seasons? Because I haven't.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not a full-length studio album. That's just that's one song.
Yeah.
If it was an EP and the remaining 3 or 4 tracks were brand new,
which is weird because it is a 25-minute song, which is like an EP in length. So,
but it's one song.
Sure.
But they've also added 3 or 4 live versions of covers in there as well, which kind of ruins it for me. Which is why I don't have it actually in the car. Because of that, I feel like if there was 3 or 4 other little, even B-sides or any re-recorded stuff from
who
songs that were missing.
Keys on Change of Seasons. It's Kevin Moore, isn't it?
No,
Derek
I
Sherinian?
believe it's Sherinian. Yeah.
I say because the definitive version of Change of Seasons is live scenes from New York. Which, by the way, I'm assuming we're not including live. We're not including live albums, are we?
No, we're not. Live scenes from New York, and they also did it for Lost Not Forgotten well, it wouldn't have been. It should have been in Lost Not Forgotten Archives when they did it in, I think it was 2017.
Images and Words and Beyond.
Images, Words and Beyond. And they played the song in full at the end, which I thought was a really, really good version of it. Because I've got the I've got the video of it.
Yeah.
And
so for those that don't know, we say Budokan. There was live at Budokan, which is an official Dream Theater release.
That's in 2004.
A Japanese TV show paid for the production of Return to Budokan, which was Back to Budokan, that was it. A Japanese only TV release of that show. So they have made the audio available through Lost Not Forgotten Archives, only in 2 parts though. They couldn't do the whole thing in one album for licensing reasons. But the reason that was mixed and even released in the first place is because it was for a Japanese TV show. It's quite hard to find, but it's not even on YouTube, is it? But we've got the MP4. So.
Yeah.
No, we haven't. We obviously paid the fee to get it legally, because that's how that works.
I wouldn't even know how to do that.
No, I mean, you can't legally get it in the UK. That's the thing. So
well, then there you go. What do you expect? But yeah, I hope they release that at some point, because I thought it was a really good version. James's voice was good on that tour as well. So I don't think they could play that song live in full anymore. I don't think his voice could hack it.
I want to hear more from 2014. I saw a YouTube video. It was a YouTube recording of the 2014 show. Obviously not live at Luna Park. It was the one after that. What's that live album called?
Breaking the Fourth Wall.
Breaking the Fourth Wall. It's full of overdubs and all sorts, and it's a difficult thing to listen to because it's not really like a live thing. But there is a video recording of that tour. No, I'll tell you what it is. Breaking the Fourth Wall. It's the audience is fake and it's looped.
Yeah, the audience. I was going to say, I don't remember there being
so annoying hearing the same cheer over and over again.
But they said that's because they didn't.
One of the mics wasn't working or something.
Yeah,
for
but there's nothing else you can do about that.
No, that's what it is.
I think the same is true though of live at Luna Park.
I think. But then live at Luna Park's another one that's kind of dodgy, whether or not it's truly live or not. I feel.
I think it is. Watching it, I feel like it is.
In any case, there is a live video recording, like video camera recording of that 2014 tour. I've forgotten where it is, but James sounds fantastic. Probably the best he's ever sounded.
I think it's in Japan.
That might be it. I've
seen it it's a full length thing. And
better than Breaking the Fourth Wall by a mile. It sounds really good.
It just sounds more organic and real. Like this is the thing that and actually
that's the show that made me fall in love with Dream Theater. I remember coming away from it like, that was incredible. That was, for me, every other live show I've ever been to is trying to recapture that high. I didn't know about Setlist FM and all this stuff beforehand. I just enjoyed the music.
Yeah.
Singing at the top of my lungs, probably pissing off all the people around me.
Yeah, but everyone does that, so.
Well, not at Dream Theater gigs. We should get into this list, by the way.
Yeah, I think the Astonishing tour was good, though. That was probably their best stage setup, I think.
I didn't.
The thing is, everything was amazing about that release. The live tour, the album release, except the music.
The live tour was the weakest part by far. They played the Astonishing from start to finish. They only added an encore towards the end of the tour, or after the first few days.
They did make it clear though that was what they were going to do.
I love it. There's an interview where James LaBrie says, "Look, we need people to know you're not going to hear Pull Me Under on this tour." And then by the end of the tour, they were playing Pull Me Under.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. I think it's that fan pressure, isn't it? Because at the same time, they did the same with. So they just did a View from the Top of the World tour. But they did it in 2 parts. So they did like a world tour, and then they went away for a bit, and then they did another world tour. And I think it was due to complaints about James hiding behind backing tracks that they stopped using it, and it was just John Petrucci, and it was so much better.
Yeah, I agree.
It just because you can hear James's voice so much clearer. And I just think I think it was anyway. I think. That's that sort of thing. That's what happens.
Let's get into these lists. So, what have you got at 15?
Okay,
I think we probably had the same one at 15.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I think we do. And I think that's because, we're Dreaming Day Unite.
We're Dreaming Day, yeah. Which isn't, in my opinion, isn't a real Dream Theater album.
It has to be, because it's what put them on the very small map at the time.
It's Rush fan fiction. It's not a bad album, but obviously the mix is terrible. Even when Dreaming Day reunite, I don't think it's that much better performance wise. It's just very messy. It's a very messy album.
It's a lot to. There's a lot. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And I don't think it's their fault. Didn't they have 12 hours to record it? They got the night shift. They were on from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something. That's all they had to record it over 2 nights. Yeah. Was it Metal Hammer? Metal Blade? Whoever the record label was messed them up basically and just wanted to put out a cheap thing, and they needed.
Is that the story of every artist's life though?
Well, yeah, but they needed an expensive, a clear production, really good production. They just didn't get it on that album. I just don't.
It's
think
because of
really cared.
yeah, like you say, it's money.
Yeah.
Even back then, they didn't have I guess I assume they didn't have the money for it. And obviously they don't pay for it. The label do. But yeah, you say that it is at the bottom, but it's actually got quite a few like they play a few of these songs live. You'd say Jam. They've got there's a few that Another Hand that they used to play.
Yeah.
The Killing Hand or whatever it is.
Yeah. Another Hand is a different.
And there's a couple of others as well that are on it.
Wait,
Afterlife.
wait. Wasn't Killing Hand cut from Falling Into Infinity?
No, because it was played at the Marquee. Live at the Marquee was their first live release.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was played there.
Yeah, you're right.
Another Hand, The Killing Hand. That's
Afterlife.
Afterlife's on there. Which is the one that they played at the first Budokan show, 2004. But anyway, the point is,
Score. They went through tons of the old songs.
They played Afterlife.
Yeah.
There, which is a good track. They've played Afterlife a lot, actually. They played it in like 2015 at Wacken.
I want to be clear before we move on as well that in my opinion there are no bad Dream Theater albums. Every single album is to a high standard. Even the ones I don't like particularly or don't return to very often. I would say
I return to all of them.
They're all in rotation. Even the ones that aren't as special to me are still great albums in my opinion. So
yeah, there's not any. This is the only one that I don't put on because I listen to most of my music in the car on commutes and stuff. So this is the only one that I don't have in there, and I don't listen to it.
No, really.
It's a classic first album, isn't it? They wanted to get together and record an album.
Yeah, I've tried to get into it.
It's only up from here is the point.
Yeah. Okay, what's your number 14?
14 for me is Train of Thought.
14 for me is Train of Thought. Wouldn't it be weird if we're exactly the same?
It won't be.
Right, it's 2 for 2 so far. I don't think it will be because I know straight away.
There's 15.
There's a few albums we disagree on in terms of quality. Train of Thought is a good album. This is what I mean. Train of Thought is a great album.
Imagine a Train of Thought being 14th on a list of Dream Theater albums. This shows how amazing their albums are.
Yeah.
So
2003.
Yes.
As I Am, This Dying Soul, and a Sacrifice of Thy Father, Vacant, Stream of Consciousness, In the Name of God.
Stream of Consciousness is one of my favourite instrumentals.
Yeah. In the Name of God is a great song as well.
It's incredible, that song.
Honor Thy Father is very edgy, but I really like it. And The Sacrifice is the best live song I think I've ever seen.
It's an amazing live song. And As I Am is a good opener.
I'm not keen on As I Am. They play it too much, I think. I'm over it.
I think for me as a drummer, it's a fun one to drum to. I think that's why I like it so much. So Vacant is okay. It's just
emotional.
All right.
It's very emotional though.
Yeah, but in comparison to the others, that you listen to this album going, I want some.
And then followed up by Stream of Consciousness is really good.
Yeah, it works really well, and it transitions in well because it starts off with the guitar.
And it gives context. This is the thing. One thing I don't like about instrumentals, is that I feel they often lack context. And I think for me, the context is what makes the song emotional. Just an emotion, like take Enigma Machine for example from the self-titled album. It's a good song, but there's just no context there for me. I understand it's about the Enigma Machine.
It's there for the sake of them going, should we do an instrumental song?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure,
Stream of Consciousness follows a really emotional song about someone who presumably their partner is about to either die or go into a coma. I'm sure there's an actual thing for it. And it ends, this is Vacant, isn't it? I'm thinking of, not a different song. Yeah. Am I Losing You? And then it drifts off and then comes in with the bum, 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 bum. Really cool. And you can imagine all the different emotional states and you can picture the scene. Very, very cool. Maybe Stream of Consciousness is even like their other half trying to fight to stay conscious and stay with them.
Maybe.
And, all this stuff, you've never got that context. If it's just on its own, it wouldn't work. In my opinion.
I mean, that's amazing. I've never ever thought of it like that because I don't look at lyrics very often. So I didn't know The Vacant was about that. But that makes absolutely perfect sense. And now I want to move this album higher. No, I don't.
Well, but just another thing about Vacant, because I do think lyrically it's really good. First line in the song is "Hey you, I'm right here." It's very intimate. So straight away you get an idea of that relationship. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is cool. But going into this album, you know that you're going to get something heavy. You know you're going to get it's mix-wise. It's very bass heavy. It's very muddy. And it's just the song we haven't mentioned is This Dying Soul. I know a lot of people really like that one, but for me it's my least favorite out of the 12-step suite.
Not Vacant. Repentance.
No, I can't. It's not.
Repentance is a nice break in it, but This Dying Soul carries the energy forward and develops the themes a bit further.
Maybe you're right then. Maybe it's the second. My second least favorite, I think. Yeah, Repentance. You're right. I forgot about Repentance.
So 13. We're going to disagree on this. You go first.
Distance Over Time.
I've got Distance Over Time. No way!
Wow. Okay. Now, I'm surprised. I remember looking at this going, I'm surprised.
I thought this was one of your favourite albums by them.
I really liked it when it came out because I really liked the mix. There's a hell of a lot more energy. No, so the mix of the album before it, The Astonishing, was a really good mix, but there wasn't much energy behind it.
I feel like since Mangini joined, they spent quite a while trying to figure out exactly what to do with all 200 of his drums, and they finally started working on Distance Over Time. I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, my only thing with the mix on this album is the hi-hats are way too loud. They're annoyingly loud. I don't know, stuff. Yeah, and it's also the time when they. I remember going. Mangini going through actually some of the recording process, and the reason why his toms were down quite low and all of his cymbals were above his head, even his hi-hats, is because of the separation of the sound, and you can really manipulate each one to how you want it to sound. But I just thought, yeah, it sounded great at first.
You got Octobuns, didn't you, as well? To someone after he joined the band, and you saw the stuff he was doing with them, you going
no, that was from Portnoy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, 100%. I always wanted those because of him.
Oh yeah, because that's 6 o'clock, right? Doesn't he open it with?
He does start with that, yeah. But that was mainly it's from other songs.
I just remember thinking it was cool that you could have drums that were kind of tuned to a key rather than just kind of being in the thing.
Yeah, I know I got from him. Yeah, that's what I got from him. It's definitely and others like Gavin Harrison and stuff like that. But like Dream Theater wise, yeah. As soon as he joined the band and he goes, yeah, if Petrucci or Rudess does a run like do, he wants to be able to go do on the drums. Yeah. And I thought, wow, I've never really thought of it like that before.
So,
but yeah,
Distance Over Time for me, it's just really good songs, but it's just a generic Dream Theater album.
There's 2 amazing tracks in it, in my opinion.
Pale Blue Dot and Viper King.
Guess again.
Pale Blue Dot, At Wit's End.
Yeah, those are the two ones that are amazing.
Everything else, I mean, Signal to Noise, Bastard Warrior, Room 137. Room 137 is a bad song. I'm not.
It's okay.
Keen on it. I don't even remember other than like.
Dude, I like how it goes into it. And when we saw the trailer for the album and it had little clips from it, it had that riff, and I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. That's heavy. Yeah.
In my opinion, this is probably James's worst sounding album, which is weird because it's not the latest one. But I feel like his voice is quite weak on this. But I do know that it's quite a relentless touring period because they obviously did the Metropolis. No, not Metropolis Part 2 tour. They did the what am I saying? Astonishing, which was an extremely tough album to sing.
Then they did
Images and Words, which is an extremely even harder album for him to sing.
They did knock it a half step down, but still.
And then they put out this thing without much of a break, and I think that's why his vocals do suffer because of that. I'm sure he still has sort of 6 months, but compared to like obviously they got like a year, 2 years off over COVID, and he came back sounding the best he ever sounded for a year.
But then they've done 2 world tours back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just. I even saw a John Petrucci interview and saying that they just did 6 gigs in 7 days.
That's crazy.
It's just like, well,
for how long they play, how complicated it is, and especially for James, and they don't even take a break in the middle. Oh, they still take a break in the middle? I don't know if they did when we saw them. No,
they just did 2 hours straight.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, those 2 songs are amazing. Pale Blue Dot and At Wit's End. I do like Falling Into the Light, but only live. When we saw it live,
Falling Into the Light. That's not a song, is it?
Yeah, Fall Into the Light.
Oh, you said Falling Into the Light. I was going to say that's not a Dream Theater song. What are you talking about?
Fall Into the Light.
Just making up song names now, are we?
Was really good live, and I remember I even got the DVD because we were there, and we stand up and just start singing that guitar riff in the middle back. The Metallica rip-off guitar riff, but it was amazing.
Wait, which one? I was thinking dun 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 dun, dun. Whoa.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. How's that Metallica?
Just sounds a lot like him.
Huh. Him.
Them. Jeez.
12?
12 for me is Black Clouds and Silver Linings.
Oh, The Astonishing.
Really?
For me, yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
Black Clouds, again, nothing against it. I said before, I'm really surprised Distance Over Time was down there because I really enjoyed it when it came out. But looking at the others, it can't go above any of the others for me above it. Black Clouds and Silver Linings has some amazing songs on its own. It's
as a complete package, as an album. So Black Clouds and Silver Linings for me is actually next. It's 11th.
Let me just say, the Count of Tuscany would be in my probably top 5 Dream Theater songs.
I would agree if the lyrics were better.
I think you've always said that, but I think it's great. If
it was actually about something,
but it is.
It's not. There's no metaphor. There's no deeper meaning to it. It's just here's a series of events. They're a little bit convoluted and not that interesting. And pad that out over like 15 minutes. It's a great song. I love the middle bit.
19
with the guitar.
minutes.
19 minutes. Is it 19 minutes? Wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. But Black Clouds and Silver Lining, it's a great album, great sounding album. It's something a little bit different, but I think the cracks were starting to show in their partnership. And it just feels like a hodgepodge of songs just kind of put together with no particular direction.
My main thing is I love it. The mix is really good. The drumming is incredible. There's The Best of Times is a really, really nice emotional song. The Shattered Fortress, the intro to Shattered Fortress is incredible.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be honest, the whole song it's a really good send-off for the 12-step suite. And then you've got, like the Count of Tuscany, I think one of their best songs they've ever done. And starting with A Nightmare to Remember, the whole album's great. Rite of Passage with every single song on it's really good. But I feel like it doesn't hit me emotionally as much as any of the other albums above it, and that's the only.
Every Dream Theater album to me is a statement, and I don't know what the statement is here.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And when I say it's like a hodgepodge,
every album they do is different.
Yeah, obviously these songs have been intentionally put together in a certain order, and it's about certain sets of things. That's fine, but I do feel like you look at any individual one of their albums, and there's a kind of thought behind it. There's a thought process behind it, and there's a theme, and so on. And even if you don't pick up on that theme, it's still there. And I don't feel that way with Black Clouds and Silver Linings.
I do. I find they all fit in. I see what you mean, but I think just because I know the album so well, I know it's from that era. Yeah. Every album they do is mixed differently as well, so I can always listen to it and go, yeah, that was from that album because it sounds like that.
So I put The Astonishing here.
Okay.
Because The Astonishing is a great album, but
we loved it when it came out.
I know. It's just it's so. I haven't listened to it once, I think, for over a year because it's such a lot to get into. Yeah, it's a great album.
It's difficult to not listen to the whole thing.
There's no individual Dream Theater moments on it where you go, except for what's that one song that has the solo bit?
New Beginning.
New Beginning. That's the one song. Is it New Beginning?
I think it's called A New Beginning.
The one that sort of. I don't know. I can't sing it along.
It's hard to do it.
It's a guitar solo, isn't it?
The guitar solo is really cool in it, though. I know exactly. Yeah, that is the one that you mean, though.
Yeah, I great album, but like I say, not much staying power for me because it's just such a mass to get into. Yeah. And it, on its own, it would be higher, but given that it's a Dream Theater album, you have to be in a certain mood and a certain mindset to listen to it, and I just barely ever go there, so that's why it's there for me.
Yeah, New Beginning.
Yeah. So obviously 15, 14, 13, 12. 11 for me was Black Clouds and Silver Linings. So what's your 11?
Self-titled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brilliant, that's my 10. So we're one step off now.
So for me, the self-titled album, I loved. So we're obviously just basing it on the album because the era that it came out was amazing for us, especially both together. Because
that's what got me into Dream Theater, really.
I saw him on this album twice. The tour was amazing.
I saw him in Sheffield, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Sheffield to see him. Yeah.
God. Well. So one thing I'll say about this album, I know this has nothing to do with the album, but the encore, where he's like, "Oh yeah, we're celebrating the anniversary of Awake." People cheer. We're going to do some songs today. So we're also celebrating another anniversary, Metropolis Part 2. And everyone goes, "Way!" And on the live thing, he goes, "Oh, you don't like it. It's not my favourite either."
Yeah.
And then the encore, because that was obviously like my favourite album at the time, and didn't ever expect him to play it. And then for the encore, just the
you've just given away your number one.
I haven't. I almost did. The 2014, and then it counts back down to whatever it was, 19, 20... something.
Jesus.
I've forgotten. 28?
1980 something, isn't it?
No. Anyway. No, the when the album
I'm
set.
thinking of 18... No, what am I thinking
Anyway, really
1985 good. I'm thinking, which is Haken.
That's the show for me. So, the whole album is influenced by that. Illumination Theory
Try and keep that out of it, though. You want to just...
No, but it's that era and it's the emotional impact it had on me, right? Illumination Theory is a fantastic song. The False Awakening Suite is amazing. I still get chills looking at that video of the intro with all the album art animated. There isn't a single song I dislike on this. However, the reason it's not higher for me is because I was just listening to it on the way over just to double check my suspicion, and all the songs end up sounding the same. You go into it and you're like, oh, we're going from was it Enemy Inside to whatever it is, Behind the Veil. It was not Behind the Veil, it's You've got those two songs up
Looking
there.
Glass.
Looking Glass. Exactly. To Enigma Machine, to The Bigger Picture, to Behind the Veil, to Surrender to Reason. All these songs sound identical, and they end up blurring into one. And you go, ooh.
Along for the Ride was cool, but mainly because when we saw him live, everyone was singing it.
Yeah, but I don't remember that. Along for the Ride is the Quiet Before the Storm. What's the word? Calm Before the Storm for Illumination Theory. So those two I kind of put together. Force Awakening Suite is an introduction. Enemy Inside is great. The Bigger Picture has a fantastic bridge, maybe the best bridge Dream Theater has ever done, and the outro always gives me chills.
It's an amazing song, yeah.
But everything else is just kind of like, it's good. It's a good Dream Theater.
Yeah,
songs.
I agree. I think that you're 100% right. Enemy Inside, Bigger Picture, and Illumination Theory are the three standouts in this album. The other ones, Force Awakening Suite is amazing. I'll be honest, but it's not really a song. It's just an introduction. But yeah, apart from that, Enigma Machine, by far their weakest instrumental. It just doesn't have any emotion.
But that's not to say it's a weak instrumental. If any other band put that out, it would be a great song. Because it's Dream Theater, it's like, okay, well, compared to their other instrumentals.
And also the mix, because the mix is a big deal for me.
Yeah,
I don't like the mix at all. The drums sound terrible for me. I don't use that word very often. In fact, that's probably the first time I've used it on this podcast. The snare sound and the kick drum sound to me I just don't like it. It's just no, I don't. I don't know what it does to me, but it's like sandpaper. It's just I just don't like it.
What's your 10? My 10. That was my 10. Is
what was your 11? Do you say?
So far 15. Dream Day Unite. Train of Thought 14. This is Over Time 13. Astonishing 12. Wait, what are you stupid?
What's your 11?
Black Clouds, Silver Linings.
Okay.
10 was
We've
Dreamers. 10
that.
was self-titled. What's your 10?
Your 10 self-titled. Mine is Dramatic Turn of Events.
Oh my goodness.
Yours is number 9, isn't it?
Oh no.
Oh.
That is much, much higher on my list.
No. If Thesis did it, that would be right up at the top.
What? Why?
Up the top. Yeah, she'd hold it close to her.
She's why? That is
because again.
I won't tell
me.
Do you want to know where that is for me?
No, well, we'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to know yet. But
wow.
No, I know that. Okay, that's the biggest one that's giving you a surprise. So
I can't believe that because for me it's not my number one, but it was a contender for my number one.
Really?
Yeah, and to have it so low on your list, that means you place.
It's just again, it's an emotional connection to it.
You really put Falling Into Infinity above. Anyway, go on.
Right. I mean, the thing is, This was the first album.
No, it wasn't.
This is the first album that came out when I was a fan of Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just on Black Clouds. I was getting really into them, and once I started getting into them, that's when Portnoy went, "I'm leaving." I felt like it was because I was a fan, which is a massive shame. And then a year later they came out with this, and it was really good when it came out. I'm not a massive fan of the mix. I think the mix is probably, in fact, I'd probably put it as one of the worst mixes. In fact, I'd probably put it the only mix that's worse than that, in my opinion, for my taste, is when Dream Day Unite, because
I think the mix is good. I really like the mix.
Again, but it's coming from a drummer. The drums sound, they're just in the background, and I know that Mangini didn't write them, and I know that
yeah, this is true.
They just sound MIDI controlled. Like it's like someone's gone to him. Can you play the drums that I've written for it? And he did it to the letter, and that's it. And drumming wise, it's not very interesting. There's some amazing, I will say,
Breaking All Illusions is the best Dream Theater song. It's the best Dream Theater song. They have never written a song better than Breaking All Illusions.
I disagree, but I do think
you're wrong. Objectively,
it's in the top 5 for me.
It's the best song they've ever made. Build Me Up, Break Me Down is a great single.
Talking about best, I think Breaking All Illusions
Lost Not Forgotten
solo is the best he's ever done.
On the Backs of Angels, what an album opener. What an incredible way to start an album. Build Me Up, Break Me Down. What a great single. Still heavy. You've got a little bit of electronic stuff coming in there, which is like new influences.
Yeah, that was cool.
Far From Heaven and Beneath the Surface are two really emotional, kind of acousticy songs. Breaking All Illusions is just the best song they've ever written. Bridges in the Sky is there on the album.
They opened that on the tour, and I thought it was amazing.
It is good.
That was the first time we'd ever seen them live.
No,
as
not
well.
Bridges in the Sky isn't the one I like the least. Lost Not Forgotten's the one I like the least. Bridges in the Sky is great. What a chorus Bridges in the Sky has.
Yeah.
And yet you think Falling Into Infinity is better than that album.
Yeah, well, I'll explain why.
That's absolutely
and
insane.
I think quite a lot of fans agree with me as well. But
What's your number 9?
This was tough for me because this was one of my one of my favorites for a while. But then looking back at it now, looking at the rest of them, it's Octavarium.
Wow.
Number 9.
Okay. Go on.
What's yours?
Mine is Systematic Chaos.
Okay.
And the reason I'll tell you mine first because it's very simple. It's a great album. I think there's a series of albums from Octavarium onwards up until Portnoy left. What is it? We're talking Octavarium, Systematic Chaos, and Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
And Train of Thought? No.
Train of Thought was before that.
Yeah, you're right. Those 3 albums are all pretty much the same to me. I don't think particularly special on any of them. But Systematic Chaos... Sorry, no, they are all special. They all kind of blur into one for me. And Systematic Chaos, in my opinion, is the least special of those albums. I look at it and I don't have any particular emotional resonance with it, except for a few of the songs. Now, it would be lower. It would be below Black Clouds and Silver Linings, except for that one song.
Oh, dear.
Ministry of Lost Souls.
Yeah.
Which
that's probably
can't listen to it without
2.
getting chills. It's incredible.
It's my second favourite song of theirs.
Right. So without that, it wouldn't be as high. I don't like the fact that the songs, the first one and the last one, are split up. In the Presence of Enemies are split up. I wish they would. Play
I don't know if it would work together though.
Well, they did it live, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
But it's a great album for me.
It's an album opener and an album closer. I think
Forsaken is a great kind of different sort of song for them. That's what I've got to say. Systematic Chaos.
Yeah.
It's not as special, but it's got so many great emotional songs in it that, I don't know what it is about it. I'm not alone in that. I've seen other people online say it doesn't feel special. I don't know why it doesn't feel special.
Yeah, some people I've seen that as well. A lot of I watch as I've said, I watch a lot of Dream Theater stuff online, and a lot of people put that quite low, which I was always surprised.
So your number 9 is Octavarium, which is weird for me because for me it's the same. It's a very similar album. But because of how epic and how precise and all of the key stuff, the way the album loops, the fact it's the end of the Meta album and so on, that makes it more special. If it wasn't for...
It does make it good, yeah.
If it wasn't for Octavarium at the end, it wouldn't be as good of an album, but obviously it has Octavarium at the end, so...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I need to say I'm not a massive fan of the mix of this album either, but The Root of All Evil is an amazing album opener. Like the way it comes in, and it's so good. These Walls is one of my favorites.
That's one of the songs that got me into Dream Theater, you know.
Yeah, it's so underappreciated. I feel no one mentions it
And I
as
Walk
much.
Beside You as well. Throw that in.
Yeah, it's quite a good track. Panic Attack is the only one that doesn't seem like it should be on this album. I always thought that was on or would fit more in Systematic Chaos.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And Never Enough's cool. Drums are cool. Now, the 2 that save this album for me, that make it as high as 9, because the other ones are okay. It doesn't give me much emotional, response or whatever. Sacrifice Sons, I absolutely love.
Oh my goodness, I completely forgot that was on there. Although it is a bit awkward when they're playing in New York, they get to the chorus and James LaBrie goes, "Sing it!" I'm like, this is a song about 9/11. What are you?
Yeah, but I feel as though
very
but you
awkward.
can sing it. No, but you're not. It's almost like you're praying for them.
Yeah. No, I like Sacrifice Sons.
Isn't it the lyrics on it? All praise the sacrifice sons.
Yeah, so I
Something
think
like that?
the idea behind it is obviously it was. This is why it's such a good song for me, like lyrically. Because you got that element of it where on the surface, the first service is always like Sacrifice Sons. They're sacrificing themselves to further their religious cause. But at the same time, you have people in New York who would have been sacrificed also, who obviously people are over that, but also people like the firefighters that went into the buildings and died.
Yeah.
So again, praise the Sacrifice Sons. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Do you know what I find really interesting about that is that James LaBrie wrote the lyrics to that.
That's weird because usually I'm not a fan of his lyrics, but
I knew you were going to say that. But Sacrifice Sons for me is an amazing song.
A lot of nuance, yeah.
Amazing
so heavy
song.
with that middle bit.
And the best version of it is live. It's score live.
Yes.
It's so
100%.
Unbelievably epic. And
Octavarium.
actually Octavarium is, I think it's their best thing they've ever
100%.
done.
We should rank their epics at some point, but 100% that's
But I just think overall it's so meticulously put together. It's an
so
amazing
catchy
track.
and
Everything about it's you don't realise it's 24 minutes as well. It just keeps going on. And
although saying that, do you skip the intro?
I do not, because it
It's too
sets
long.
up.
It's like 6 minutes long.
I don't know if it's that long, but it sets up the emotion for the song, and I think it.
Yeah, it's not
I
as
think
good
you have
without
to have it.
Yeah.
You don't feel the same emotion if you don't listen to that part.
What's your 8?
The Astonishing. When it came out, we've already been through this. So we'll go through it quite quickly. When it came out, I thought Jesus, this has taken me a while to get into. Every single song starts the same way with a piano. And actually, since then, I've gone away from that going, this is a masterpiece. This is incredible. So much emotion. The mix is amazing. Some of the musical parts they come up with are great.
Very
James
piano-led.
LaBrie, that's his best performance on an album ever.
He plays... You know what I love about James LaBrie's performance on that album is that he's playing all these different characters and he plays them all so distinctly that you can you immediately tell who's singing it. I know they obviously did the thing with Lizzie Hale. That's not as good for me because although you've now got a female vocalist singing the female part of that song.
That was just a special edition song, wasn't it?
It wouldn't have. People were saying, they should have done like Arian and had like loads of different people guests come in.
No, definitely not.
But no, James LaBrie smashed it out of the park on that one.
I completely
Keeps it coherent as a Dream Theater album.
Exactly, it's Dream Theater, and that's him. And that just shows how amazing he is as a performer and also as an actor, I guess, in a way. And he always mentioned as well that he wanted to be an actor on, I think it's Broadway.
It's theatrical, isn't it?
So it's the perfect album for him. He shines more than anyone else on that album. But I think I love it. I think it's beautiful. But now going back to it, too many of the songs start the same with piano, and it's too. It can't be any higher than this.
You can tell that it was like Jordan Rudess and John Petrucci sat in a room together, going, "Oh, we'll try this little thing," rather than having the whole band together.
I think that was the first album they did that, and you can tell. Yeah. But it is an amazing feat of work.
Yep.
I just think I think the effort that's gone into it was incredible.
Yeah. My 8th is Falling Into Infinity.
Which is weird because you were slating that album earlier, and then you were saying, "I can't believe it's high."
I didn't say I was slating it. I said, "Do you really think Dramatic Turn of Events is worse than Falling Into Infinity?" Falling Into Infinity is a good album. It's just very, very different. First off, it's the only album with Derek Sherinian on it, and
apart from Change of Seasons.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
We're not counting that.
No.
Derek Sherinian is, say what you want about his personality. He's a very good keyboard player, and he comes through really well here.
Sort of signature sound.
What I like about What I like about Jordan Rudess and also like about Derek Sherinian is that Kevin Moore didn't, except for in solos, didn't fill a lot of gaps, just go. He was kind of more in the background and then came through at the right moments and kind of emphasized everything. And Derek Sherinian does the exact same thing in this album. You could look at it and go, oh, Derek Sherinian doesn't play very much. But when he does play, it's really good. And he's always there in the background, keeping the energy going. And again, say what you want about his personality and the way he is these days, but he had very good contributions to this. I don't think he was a good fit for Dream Theater, but I do think he was a good fit for this album, which is not a very Dream Theater-y album, and there are obviously several reasons behind that.
Very much constricted by the record label. Yeah. I now have actually, funny enough, taken this album out of the car and put the demo double disc, how they wanted it to sound.
I haven't actually listened to that yet. Is that better than the actual album?
Yeah.
Really?
Definitely.
Even though the production's going to be far worse, right?
It's not far worse, but it is worse.
Right.
But it's so much better. It's so much better. It just makes sense. There's more songs on it.
What was the song they cut that they played live? Really good.
It used to open with, or it was going to open with "Raise the Knife." Which
Raise the
Score.
Knife. That's a great song.
They played that on Score.
Yeah.
I am surprised though, because Falling Into Infinity. I mean, yeah, there's some average songs on here. Hollow Years is good, but I would say the Live at Budokan version is incredible with the guitar solo. Oh my god. But
Burning My Soul,
Hell's Kitchen.
Lines of the Sand.
It's an amazing.
It's a great song.
It's an amazing, and that was supposed to be a part of Burning My Soul. But yeah,
I like Peruvian Skies. New Millennium's a great intro. Trial of Tears is a great epic.
Lines in the Sand is one of their best.
Anna Lee, once again, Anna Lee's on that album. So,
God's sake, Just Let Me Breathe is a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, I like it.
It's a really fun chorus to sing along to. I think.
But this is the thing. I like not New Millennium. What's the song called? I like Just Let Me Breathe because it's a fun song to sing along to in the chorus. What other Dream Theater album song can you say that of? It's such a not Dream Theater album. It's so poppy and 90s.
Is that the one that? Or was that Lines in the Sand?
Big machines take care of you.
Yeah. It's a good track. I just think I've got it higher up. I just think the only ones that I'm not massive fan of are Hollow Years and probably You Not Me. All the others I Take Away My Pain as well as a bit of a. I know it's a
good vocal performance by James LaBrie though.
Yeah. I think that was written by John Petrucci as well. I feel like that was like a true story that he was talking about. But I just think overall, I think it's brilliant. And I also did take into account how they wanted it to be released, which is their double album.
Yeah. It's already an hour and 18 minutes. You may as well have
higher.
added the extra 20 minutes. We need to start getting through these faster. What's your number 8?
We just did that.
No, my number 8 was. Oh, yours was The Astonishing. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 8 was Falling to Infinity. My number 7 is Octavarium,
Okay, quite
which
close.
you've obviously already spoken about.
Mine's Systematic Chaos.
Cool, which you've already spoken about.
You have. I just wanted to say that it's some of the drumming on this album is incredible. I was like it. For me, the way I listen to music, there's so many notes in this album.
It's such a metal album, isn't it?
But it's so many notes. It's just constant, and I absolutely love it.
This is the album where John Petrucci has to dumb down some of the guitar parts, right?
How do you mean?
I'm sure. Maybe it was Shattered Fortress. There's a lot of discussion online because on the live version of this album, which is called Chaos in Motion, he's not. A couple of the songs, he's not playing them as they are on the record. He's having to make them a bit simpler because they're too difficult for him to play live.
Oh, geez. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Wow.
So there you go.
There you go. I'd love the
I
idea
to say what songs they were, but
In the Presence of Memories Part 1 is such a good album opener. I'm not a massive fan of Forsaken. I think it's a bit boring. Constant Motion, incredible.
Dark
Dark
that's another song.
Night.
That was a Guitar Hero song, wasn't it? Constant Motion.
Yeah.
Or Rock
That's
Band.
crazy. Dark Eternal Night. The instrumental part in that is next level. Repentance. The Prophets of War is cool. It's a cool little track. The Ministry of Lost Souls is
amazing.
Is my number 2 favourite song of theirs. And In the Presence of Memories Part 2, it's just, again, instrumentally, it's just incredible. I just think they were on fire with this album. They were just like, let's just go mental.
Yeah.
Let's just go crazy.
You know what's good? With the exception of A Dramatic Turn of Events, our top 6 albums are all going to be the same pool.
But maybe in a different order.
Or maybe in a different order, but all of the lower albums have come together. I will say my 6, funnily enough, is 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence.
As is mine.
There we go! Yeah. We're finally back in sync.
Yeah.
What a great album.
It
loses me in the middle, Misunderstood and the weird guitar bits.
But it's cool. And but I'm okay with that because you know that there's another disc full left to come. So it's like if that was just those 5 tracks, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But because you know you've got another 40 odd minutes worth on the next disc, which is epic as hell, by the way.
I agree it's very epic, although I wish the ending of 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, the song, was a bit better. It just kind of fizzles out for me after having the rest of it be really epic and have this flowing energy. I also think it's really cool. We need to remember here, they've just done Metropolis Part 2, right? And they're like, oh, we just did an hour-long concept album. How do we follow that up? This might even be a Mike Portnoy quote, to be fair.
Yeah.
We do a double album with a 46-minute song.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I mean, it is quite... You know what's really weird? The most... And I don't know why this is, but the most nostalgia I get out of listening to a Dream Theater track is when I listen to Blind Faith.
Me too. That's really weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, something's happened in our childhood that's done that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it. It's just incredible. Glass Prison. Everyone knows that's an amazing song.
Start of the 12-Step Suite. So good. Great Debate. Misunderstood is also... See, this is a different sort of album. They experiment a little bit because the actual 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence is quite classic Dream Theater. So you've got stuff like Blind Faith, Misunderstood, The Great Debate that are a little bit more... And Disappear, to be fair.
Strange.
They're strange, yeah. They're like, well, we can be a little bit more experimental with our sound because we've got this 46-minute...
so relentless as well.
Yeah, it is all the way through. Just crashing with chaos. Great. What's your number 5?
Falling into Infinity.
Oh,
We've been through
okay.
that, but that's it, yeah.
Mine's A View from the Top of the World.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be higher than that.
Well, okay, but there's a lot of good albums to come still.
Yeah.
View from the Top of the World, which for me, since Portnoy left, obviously Dramatic Turn of Events is a great album, but it doesn't feel particularly special, although it is obviously higher in my list still.
Yeah.
Still to come. I feel like DT12, the self-titled, The Astonishing and Distance Over Time, were kind of hit and miss for me. Some really good songs on there, but kind of meh. And then A View from the Top of the World, for me, is a return to form. It's a return to the glory days of Dream Theater. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know what they did for it. But everything about that album feels special and just relentless the whole way through.
Doesn't seem that there's there wasn't any pressure on them. I think that's what it was. They were like, well, COVID's hit. Now that we can start seeing each other, should we do an album? We're supposed to be on tour right now. Let's do another album.
And they just smashed out this prog masterpiece, in my opinion. The Alien.
Finally,
so
they
good.
won the Grammy. This was the 3rd nomination, I think, and they finally won it. For the most obscure track out of the 3. But I think it was, if we remember as well, that it was for best metal performance. It wasn't for best metal song.
They lost a Grammy previously to, like, Foo Fighters, all right?
No, so they did On the Backs of Angels was their first nomination.
Right.
Which I think was taken by, I think it was like Black Sabbath or something, because
right.
they brought an album back, 13, I think it was. So they got, I don't know, I think they won it. And then the second one was for I think it was back to back, so it must have been The Enemy Inside.
Yeah. But still, The Alien is just so good, start to finish. The thing with View from the Top of the World is, you the whole way through it's gonna be great. You've put it on, you've got that drum intro.
Yeah,
and it's just
hard,
like,
isn't it?
Straight away we're going.
Yeah.
10-minute song. I remember we looked at the track listing and it was like the shortest song was like 8 minutes, right? You're
Invisible
in
Monster might be 6.5.
Right. Well, you're in for a good ride when there's longer songs. Dream Theater always do better with longer songs. And to close with an epic that has an orchestra and like a brass section and a coherent epic that actually follows themes and lyrical themes the whole way through to their conclusion. It's so good. It's such a good album. Such a strong album for me.
There's one song that's weaker than the rest, but only one.
So you're going to say Transcending Time, but
Yes,
I love that song. I think that's just as good as any of the others. It's a break. It's a break. It's a rush song. It's great.
It is good, but it's definitely a rush song. Yeah, it is good, but it's not. I just think it's a bit weak compared to the others. I think it's great, but the others are on a certain level, and I feel like that one's just below it for me.
What is your 5? 4? 5?
Wait,
5.
4.
5.
5 is Falling Into Infinity.
Oh yeah. What's your 4?
Jeez. Awake.
So's mine.
Oh,
there we go. Finally matched up again.
Okay.
Dream Theater's second album. It's their third album.
It's not the second album.
People rate this album really low, People usually rate this album really low. The Dream Theater subreddit says it's one of their worst. I think it's one of their best. The keys on this album are so good. Absolutely relentless. Obviously a time when Kevin Moore pretty much already knew he was going to quit the band because he wrote loads of lyrics about how much he hated the band members. James LaBrie is literally singing songs about Kevin Moore not liking the other band members.
Okay.
Yeah, Space Divest is about Dream Theater. That's the thing. 6 O'Clock is about Dream Theater.
6 O'Clock is a great track. I'm so glad they still play it live.
Even though it's about Kevin Moore not liking any of the other band members.
Yeah, but if it's a popular song, it doesn't matter, does it? It's the same way that Falling Into Infinity, a lot of those songs were raging against the record label, who then paid to put the album out. So it's like, it's whatever. If it works, it works.
Scarred
is one of their best songs. It's, again, right up there, top 10
that
for me.
Suite of Erotomania, the other ones. Voices, Erotomania, Silent Man. That's great. A nice little suite of telling a story.
The Mirror is a great track.
The Mirror, which...
Lifting Shadows. Yeah, I think the best song on the album by far is Scarred.
It's a really weird mix, and I think that makes it sound really cold, but it kind of plays into the emotions of the album.
Yeah,
I always
the
think
mix is really strange. It's really, really crisp.
Reverby, though. Sounds almost...
Especially the snare drum. If you go back and just focus on the snare drum, it's...
Sorry, just spat everywhere.
Just everywhere. Yeah, it does. Well, so does the reverb on that snare. It is massive. But I think it's great, and the way it opens with the drum bit into 6 O'Clock is just crazy.
I just want to point this out. It's a sideline from the list. I always forget that Dream Theater put out an album called Dream Theater Greatest Hit.
Yeah, I've got that album. It's called Greatest Hit, and like 24 other cool songs.
That's a Mike Portnoy thing. Yeah. So what's your 3? Getting into the top 3 now.
Okay. A View from the Top of the World.
Dramatic turn of events for me.
Really?
Yeah.
So both Mangini era, which is interesting.
That's good.
I just... A View from the Top of the World is the best mixed album I have ever heard from anyone ever. They've got the drums right. They've got everything works. You can hear the bass guitar. You can hear everything.
He did the John Petrucci album just before doing View from the Top of the World. John Petrucci worked with him. He liked him so much that he said, do the next Dream Theater album.
I can't remember. He's an English guy, the guy who mixed it. But I found it really interesting looking back and going, like, they had this guy, Jimmy T, who was the engineer.
The guy that
the engineer was. The guy who mixed it is a different guy, so he's from England.
Isn't this also the first album? Didn't they build a studio for this album?
They built it for Distance Over Time.
Right.
But they already had it. So they were like, should we just go there together, isolate together from COVID and just do the album? And it was, it's so well mixed. And I will say as well that I love Mike Portnoy so much, but the drumming on this album is next level.
Yeah.
Mangini, especially, I know, actually, I find it towards the end of the album to be better. View from the Top of the World drumming is just some of the best I've ever heard as well.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It just works so well. I can't say much more than other than the fact that
I remember that intro to View from the Top of the World with the brass thing. Actually, to be fair, I said earlier that was an orchestral thing. It's not. Yeah, he's actually playing that on his Kronos, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he plays it live and it's exactly the same sound. It sounds incredible.
And in the middle section as well with the cello, I think it's him doing it on his iPad as well. But anyway,
Very
it's
good.
so good, this album. For a Mangini era album, it's incredible.
Obviously, we've already spoken about Dramatic Turn of Events. We don't need to. Now, there are 2 albums left that we both haven't said yet. So that we both know they're in our top 2. One is Metropolis Part 2, and the other one is Images and Words.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. What is so... You know what I mean? In that. What's your 2?
My number 2 is Images and Words.
So's mine! Brilliant. Which means number
okay.
1 is Metropolis Part 2. So Images and Words first.
Okay. It's a...
This is the album that made Dream Theater, right?
Yeah, that's in my valuation as well. It's such... The songs are so good that the drum mix being so poor doesn't really change its position.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I actually really like the mix on this album, but
the guy admitted the
snare's triggered, isn't it?
And the kick drum they're both
really?
triggered. Yeah, so they're basically so they've obviously it's an artificial sound, but also every single time they hit it, it's exactly the same volume and impact, which loses a few dynamics.
But let's just very quickly, very very quick track by track. Pull Me Under, greatest hit. Another Day. Excellent,
Pull Me Under
brilliant.
live is so good, by the way.
I was actually annoyed when we found out they were playing Pull Me Under on this upcoming tour, but it was
so
the
heavy.
highlight of the show for me.
Oh, it was
really
so
good.
Yeah.
Another Day, fantastic.
Yeah.
Take the Time, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Surrounded. Metropolis Part 1, Miracle of
Of
the Sleeper, obviously so good. Under a Glass Moon.
Yeah.
This takes. I always forget Under a Glass Moon. I always think it's a song from Awake because it has that kind of cold feeling that Awake has. Wait for Sleep, and then Learning to Live is one of the best Dream Theater songs.
5,
It's got my favourite synth solo of all time, which is the bit. Even better when played by Jordan Rudess on
than your mouth.
Yeah, because no, I mean when played by Jordan Rudess rather than Kevin Moore.
Yeah.
It's a great thing on the actual album itself, but it sounds even better live with all the stuff beforehand. Oh, what an album. And then Learning to Live with the Wait for Sleep reprise as well. That's also so good.
Yeah, Learning to Live is a masterpiece. And to have it on their first proper album, like after they've been really... This is the album that put them on the map, like proper map.
Yeah.
Like I said, where Dream and Day Unite was put them on the small map, was around their area that they were in.
Yeah.
This is the one that opened them up to the world. And they immediately went and toured Japan, for example.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Great album, well deserved. Created them. Oh, so good. And then that means...
No song is skippable on this album.
Absolutely not. That means our number 1 for both of us is Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory.
Yeah.
Do we need to...
This album is the album that
this is the album.
It's the reason that they're still here today.
Because they were going to... This was...
Album.
You know what's funny is that Rush were told you have one more... So Caress of Steel did really poorly.
Right.
They said, right, you've got one more chance from the record label. You have to make an album that sells well. No more 20-minute songs. Just make a good album that people want to buy. Like, whatever. And then they made 2112.
Yeah.
Which was their most successful album ever. Same deal with Dream Theater. After Falling Into Infinity, they were going to call it quits. They thought, let's do one more album and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And they came up with Metropolis Part 2, which...
Under Pressure is it's such a good album. It's so well mixed. It's just everything. I can't say much more about anyone that knows Dream Theater knows this album.
It's incredible from the start to finish. There's just this flowing energy, these themes that run through it. It's so good. Man, Dance of Eternity is iconic. There isn't a single bad song on this album.
Interesting to know as well that it was actually remixed. And they only had time to mix a certain amount of them. So if you go back and listen back to it might be the Dance of Eternity. The rest of the album is mixed differently.
You told me this. I've never noticed that before. But there you go.
It's so good. I don't know what else. It's an amazing album.
Agreed. There we go.
Yeah.
So let's quickly run back through our lists, and then I think we've just got just enough time for ProgBusters.
Oh yeah.
So I'll go through mine first in reverse order. So When Dream and Day Unite, Train of Thought, Distance Over Time, The Astonishing, Black Clouds and Silver Linings, Dream Theater, Systematic Chaos, Falling Into Infinity, Octavarium, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, A View from the Top of the World, Awake, A Dramatic Turn of Events, Images and Words, and Metropolis Part 2.
That was quick. I guess we're going to do it backwards. When Dream and Day Unite, Train of Thought, Distance Over Time, Black Cloud and Silver Linings, Self-Titled, Dramatic Turn of Events, Octavarium, Astonishing, Systematic Chaos, 6 Degrees, Falling Into Infinity, Awake, A View from the Top of the World, Images and Words, and of course, Scenes from a Memory.
There we go. It's so good. I like the fact that we've both got Dramatic Turn of Events. Oh no, you haven't. It's nice that we've got Mangini era albums in the top
Spread
5
out.
list. Because a lot of the time people lump the eras together and say it was better with Mike Portnoy, it was better with Mangini, but actually they're still capable of turning out really good music now.
Potentially, but I've got 3, View from the Top of the World, but then the next one is 8, and then the rest are down lower. But
yeah, no, I know, but like, yeah. Okay, so we said we'd do this. Let's do this. We've got here 3 cryptic clues for 3 different prog bands that we have previously spoken about on this podcast.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you the initials unless you're really struggling, okay?
Yeah.
Let me sneeze first.
Gesundheit. Salute.
Jeez.
Why did you look away and then turn back to face me when
I
you
was
actually
looking at the
sneezed?
sun to try and get the light in my eyes to make me sneeze. Do you not sneeze when you see bright lights?
Yeah, I get that, but I don't know why. It seemed like you being polite, looking away to sneeze.
Nah,
No,
not meant to be polite. Right, okay, so the first one. So this is wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a wedding. Groom's really excited.
Is this the name of a band?
It's the name of a band.
Okay.
So he goes out there, right? Bride lets out a big roar, eats all the guests.
It's a wedding.
It's a wedding.
Right.
And he's really excited. And the bride lets out a big roar, eats all the guests.
Gojira.
No. Do you want the initial?
Yeah.
M.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, Marillion. Mary Lion.
Yeah. Well, there's not a band called Mary Lion, is there?
I just realised what you're doing. I was thinking,
Marillion.
licks out a raw, eats at the guests. I thought raw, bride, bridezilla, eating Godzilla, Gojira. That's how I got Gojira. But no, okay, no. So I forgot how the cryptic clue is.
Yeah.
Marillion.
What am I thinking?
Mary Lion.
Right, next one.
Jesus Christ. Okay, you're gonna have to give me the.
It's too easy, I think. It's too small.
Okay.
Anyway, my favourite era of Pokemon was the one with the Egyptian goddess of healing. So G.
Oh my God, Egyptian goddess of healing.
Yeah.
Your favourite Pokemon.
My favourite era of Pokemon.
Era of Pokemon.
G.
Something to do with Pokemon. G. Egyptian goddess of healing.
Healing and magic. And maybe also fertility.
Era.
Yeah.
Generation. Isis. Genesis.
Yeah. That works.
It's the goddess of fertility, yeah.
Yeah, well, I looked it up and it was goddess of healing and magic.
Right.
So, but I'm sure we've said fertility before. Right, last one.
Yeah.
So you got one out of 3.
Genesis.
Genesis. Last one.
Genesis.
This flight will take you from the UK to America, but it can't decide if it's a boy or a girl.
Transatlantic. That's brilliant. Okay. I like these.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can't decide if it's a boy or a girl. Trans.
That's a little bit offensive, maybe, but it works for the clue. Mary Lion, transatlantic, and Genesis.
Genesis. Mary Lion. That's brilliant. I like. Well done. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I
See,
want
I
more
told
of
you
that.
I was really getting in his head.
Yeah, that was great.
That was good.
Oh my goodness. We had a lot to say about these albums, and I think it's
Classically,
great.
we could have gone on for longer. Like we've
Yeah.
tried to speed it up for a little bit because we didn't want it to be more than like an hour. But
Yeah. As you can see, we are huge Dream Theater fans.
Yeah.
My favourite band of all time.
it's for me, it's the band, but it's not my favorite band of all time. They've gone down in my estimation over the last few years, but still a massively influential band. It's still the one band where like I wouldn't listen to the album until like we get a chance to listen to it together. Still a huge impact.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll talk about Dream Theater again in the future.
Maybe with their next album, we can do this.
Oh yeah,
podcast
that'd be cool.
while
Yeah,
we listen to it the
definitely.
first time.
that'd be sweet.
Amazing.
Right.
Signing off.
Thank you for listening, and
Yes.
we'll see you next Tuesday.
Oh God. Stop it.
I do.
I do, yeah.